what tips do you have for people looking to start organizing their digital photos on their own? Let's say that maybe they just haven't found a Holly yet, or they can't justify the expense yet, or they want to give this a try on their own. What are the first steps to get started?
Yeah, for sure. Start with a process and a plan. So I've had so many clients come to me and say, I've started this over and over again, and I just can't get past the start. And it's because there's no process in place. So start with a process, start with figuring out what do you need to do first. So the first thing you need to do is take inventory. So you need to figure out what you have. You can't organize if you don't really know what you have.
What's up and welcome to I Speak Organized. I'm Melanie Summers, your professional organizer. I specialize in ADHD organizing strategies, and I am your go-to gal for all things pro organizing business. There's a little something for everybody here, whether you are a decluttering and organizing enthusiast or you're getting ready to start or level up your professional organizing business. And as you get value out of today's tutorial, I encourage you to tap that thumbs up and the notification bell so you're notified whenever we post new content every single week. If you need a little bit of genuine connection and some community to come around you, then go down to the description of the video and tap the link to join my free Facebook group, the I Speak Organized Professional Home Organizers Network. It's a great place to get all your questions answered and to come hang out with me every single day. The main mission here at I Speak Organized is to give you the best quality tools and resources to level up your business and have a truly successful 6 or 7-figure business that doesn't suck away all of your time. So if you're brand new to all of this and it seems very overwhelming, you don't really know where to start, you have come to the right place. I am your go-to gal for all things pro organizing business. If you're afraid that you aren't enough, like you don't have enough experience or you don't really have the goods to bring to the table to charge what other people charge, or whatever story you happen to be telling yourself, I am here to help you understand that you can be exceptional with the right tools and training. So in just a few minutes, I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about how I can help you with that. But in the meantime, let's get into this juicy interview. All right, speaker fam, I want you to join me in welcoming my friend Holly Corbid. She owns Capture Your Photos, and she's out of Stillwater, Minnesota. This is such a treat to have you on the show. Welcome, Holly.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Yes, thanks for being here. We were chatting off camera a little bit about our Minnesota connection, the town that she lives in. If you ever get a chance to go up to the Midwest and visit Stillwater, Minnesota, it is probably one of the most beautiful cities in Minnesota that you will find, right?
Yeah, it's a tourist destination for sure.
Oh, it's beautiful. Right on the river in the summertime. It's just gorgeous. There's always tons of fun stuff happening. I have very fond memories of growing up near there as a kid. So
yeah, great downtown scene.
it is.
Great restaurants and great walking trails. It's really beautiful. Yeah.
It is. And that big long staircase from
the Stillwater Stairs. Yep.
yes. Yeah, I used to run up and down those all the time doing circuit training and
good for you. Good for you.
Yeah, they're pretty fun. But that's not why we're here. We're here to talk about something really cool. You're actually the very first photo organizer that I've had on the show. We've been doing the Speak Organized podcast for about 3 years now, and you're number one here, sister.
I love it. I love to be a pioneer for you here.
I love it too. Yeah, I'm excited to dive into this topic. I know there's going to be a lot of people listening and watching that might be really interested in this as a niche down the road or even right now. So we're going to dive in. So I would love for you to tell me just a little bit more about Capture Your Photos and kind of what led you to become an actual certified photo organizer. So you're a certified professional photo manager, I think is the technical term.
Yep.
So just tell us a little bit about how that came to be and what inspired you to focus specifically on photo organizing.
Yeah. So I spent 15 years in the corporate world, Fortune 500 companies, did that scene for 15 years. Then I took some time off to be mom. I spent 4 years, I had 3 young kids at the time. And I'm like, I just need to take a break and do that. But I knew that I wanted to get back into something during that period of time. So that was in 2006 to 2010 is when I kind of took that break, which is exactly when digital photos were starting to really become a thing. Most people got their digital cameras in that mid 2000s, kind of their first ones in that mid 2000s timeframe. And so that's where I was. And I was kind of playing with my own photos, and I've always loved photos, but I really got was more interested in it. And I met someone that was kind of doing some more DIY kind of photo stuff as a business. And she kind of got me into it. So I started working in the kind of more the DIY market. And then we'd fall in love with the project they were going to do. And then they'd say, "Oh, Holly, can you just do this for me?" And I pretty much said, "Why, yes, I can." And that's really how what I call the do it for you services were born.
Mhm.
And so I branded Capture Your Photos in 2014 and haven't looked back from that. So that's kind of how I got into the biz.
Very cool. Yeah, I love that. I want to learn a little bit more about the actual services that you provide. So obviously, I know digitization is a big part of it, but that's a very broad umbrella term for a lot of different things that you do.
Yeah.
So could you just describe the list of services that you guys provide, and then tell me a little bit about how you tailor your photo organizing services for your clients? Because I imagine they have a lot of unique needs, interesting projects. There's probably memorabilia and various other things involved, not just photos. So I'd love to learn a little bit more about what you do.
Yeah. So I would say that I specialize mostly in digital photo organization. So there's categories. So when you look at a photo collection, you have digital photos, you have printed photos, and printed photos would include the loose photos in the boxes that you either inherited or accumulated. Albums would be in that category as well as memorabilia. And then that old media. So those old things that we don't have machines for anymore. So your slides, your VCR tapes, DVDs are quickly entering into that world. And so those are kind of the four areas. So what I do is, like I say, I specialize in digital organization, but I also work with people that have full collections as well. So for digital, there's steps to organizing your digital photos. It's basically consolidation, deduplication, and organization.
Mm-hmm.
And so I help people get photos from all the places. So they have photos on their computers, on their phones, in cloud services, flash drives, CDs, DVDs, all the places. We consolidate them, we deduplicate them because everyone has duplicates at this point. And then we get them organized for them. And then also we set up systems to help them maintain them. So that's a really important part of the process. So it's fine if you can get them organized, but if you don't have a system to kind of help you maintain them, then they can get messy again. So I really like to give the whole picture.
Yeah.
And then with printed photos, we sort through them, making sure that we're kind of picking our favorites, picking the best, picking the ones that we really want our families to have to tell our stories, and then digitize them. So that's where we get into scanning and getting them or incorporated into that digital collection, because that's really the way of the world. That's really where things are going, is those digital collections.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so we just incorporate all of those into one collection. And then memorabilia, same thing. We look through it, sort through it, figure out which of these pieces is important to tell your family story with.
Mm-hmm.
And then we gather those and we figure out how to preserve those, because that's a little trickier sometimes. Sometimes it's as easy as scanning something. Other times you have to get creative. And then that old media, transferring it to a file that we can read today, and then incorporating that into your digital collection.
Wow. So many different things. This is very useful. I've got so many things, like sub questions that I'm going to throw at you, totally off script.
Bring it on.
And just love it. And just some thoughts too on this, because even if you yourself, listener, watcher, whatever, are not a photo organizer, somebody like Holly is a person that you want to have in your back pocket, because inevitably, and this happens to me all the time, I had a client like about a year ago who had a set of reel-to-reel tapes, and it was all audio reel-to-reel. And we had obviously no way of knowing what was on these tapes. And it ended up being old recordings of her father when he was in the Navy in the 60s, like on the ship talking to his buddies in his 20s, just being like hilarious and making just crass jokes. And we were just cracking up listening to this, and he would have recordings of other family members that had since passed and all this different stuff. There's no way that I know how to do that. I don't have the equipment for that. So you need a Holly in your back pocket that can go and digitize that stuff. Absolutely, right?
There's so many specialties within this. That's one of them. You don't want to mess around with that if you don't know what you're doing, because you could totally wreck it. Right. And so having, when you run into those kinds of things, finding a specialist that knows how to handle them, super important.
Absolutely. Yeah. And one of the things that you mentioned that I'm curious about, and obviously we don't have time to get into all of it, but I would love to hear just a little bit more about how you help your clients with the maintenance aspect of it. So, what types of systems are you setting up for them? Is it a cloud? Is it a zip drive? Or what are some strategies that you're using to help people with that?
Yeah. So I'm a big believer that you need to own your photos. Okay. So I don't believe that you should let a cloud service be the only place that your photos live, because I've been in this business for 14 years and I know what happens with cloud services. Biggest names in cloud services have had changes. Some have gone away completely. Others have changed their policies to the point where it's become an emergency for people to get their photos out, and then getting your photos out of them. I spend my days rescuing photos from cloud services. And so first thing is you want to own your photos. You want to own one copy of your photos that is not tied to a cloud service. However, I love a cloud service for backup and for accessing your photos from multiple places, like your phone and other computers or your iPad, or kind of thing. And so the systems that I help people set up, one of the questions you asked, and I don't think I answered, is that how do I customize for my clients? Is we do a really thorough inventory when we talk to someone in the beginning of a project and really figure out what I call their photo personality is. Some people they're all in on the technology. They want all the bells and whistles and that kind of thing. Others just want to be able to find their photos. That's all they want. They want it simple. They don't want to have a lot of tech involved or whatever. So I really spend time with the client figuring out what is the best solution for you based on your technical knowledge, how you want to access your photos, what your goals are for your photos. Like, are you wanting to, like, I deal with a lot of people that want to share their photos with their kids, for example, their adult children. And so that's a solution, a different solution than a young mom that just wants to get organized so she can, save photos going forward for her kids. So a little bit different solution. So I like to work with the technology that people have. So I'm not going to say, if you're a Mac user, I'm not going to make you a PC person. If you're a PC user, I'm not going to make you a Mac person. I'm going to work with your systems and then kind of go from there. I don't sell anything as far as systems go. So for me, you're going to get I have biases in the sense of there are certain systems that I like, but I'm not selling anything. I'm not going to make any money on the systems that I set up for you. So I like to set you up with a system and teach you how to maintain it. So everyone gets, here's what you need to do on a monthly basis. And then oftentimes people will come back to me in, say, 6 months and they say, Holly, I haven't done anything. Help me. And so we'll just update them, which is a super easy thing to do when you have a system in place.
Right. Absolutely. And that's a good retainer moment for you as well. So that you have those clients coming back to you all the time. Now, I mean, all of this stuff in theory, this is your job. You do it all day long. So it's easy for you to always have the right strategies top of mind and enact everything. I imagine that there's a lot of common challenges, even across different demographics of clients. You've been in the business, like you said, for 14 years. So I'm sure you see some patterns of things that occur. So if you can just kind of pull those out and highlight what you feel some of the common challenges are that people face when trying to organize their photos, and how do you help people overcome those obstacles? Help us out here.
Yeah, overwhelm. Number one by far is just the overwhelm that people feel about this thing. I always joke that it's not the unorganized people that come to me saying, oh, I need organization. It's the organized people that don't know how to do this because of whether it's systems or quantity. They just have so much. They just don't know how to manage it. And so it's that overwhelm that is the number one thing. I'll have people do a consult. We'll literally be talking for 15 minutes. And then after that 15 minutes, when I give them, okay, this is how we're going to approach it. This is what we're going to do. They're like, oh, that peace of mind just takes over, because it's like there's a solution. Wait, there's a solution for this. So that's really good. So yeah. So what question again? Tell me.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah.
So just kind of talking about like some common challenges. So we
Okay,
discussed
so
overwhelm as being one. No, that's okay. That's why we edit.
And then the technology is the other piece, because there's so many choices out there for people of what to choose. And like, all cloud services are not created equal. They all have their weird little things that they do to your photos, and just knowing what they are. I just have catalogs of information that I've learned through the years. And so it's really, helping them kind of navigate the technology, and then just time Time is everyone's challenge. And so some people are just like, here, Holly, just give this to me back better than this is, because they just don't have the time to do it. So I would say overwhelm, technology, and time are the biggest problems.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's universal in life, just in general, which brings me to my next little point that I'm going to insert here. Again, going off script and like getting after you. And I'm curious to hear if you've ever heard of this before. So I mean, obviously in our society, you just nailed it. You said it. We're all overwhelmed. We're oversaturated with choices. We don't have the time to deal with everything that's coming at us all the time, especially in the digital world when you're dealing with technology and all these things. And I heard a statistic. I was listening to a podcast the other day that was saying millennials in general, and I think Gen X to a certain degree, are the most anxious generation that has ever lived. And we all try to figure out, what is behind that? What stems from, like, what is giving us all that anxiety? And a lot of it stems from the overwhelm, the lack of time, the number of choices that we have to make. So that's where I want to bring up one of my favorite secret weapons. I don't know if you've ever heard of this before. It is called Magic Mind. And it is a 2-ounce mental performance shot. So it's very small. It's a really easy thing to incorporate into your routine, especially if you're somebody that struggles with overwhelm, anxiety, and stress, because it has all of those brain boosting functions that help you manage your stress. So I don't know if you're familiar with L-theanine, if you're familiar with the cordyceps and functional mushroom compounds that kind of help you deal with stress responses. Is this something? Yeah. Okay, sister, this is something that you may want to try, because I'm actually in the middle of a challenge right now. I'm doing what's called the 7-day Magic Mind Challenge. And it's allowing me to kind of get my stress back under control, because it is something that it's cyclical. I get it under control, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this. And then suddenly you've fallen off of the bandwagon, you've gotten out of the habit. So I'm doing a little reset here, and I've honestly noticed such a big difference, especially in the summertime. I'm really trying to like max the relax, and this really helps a lot. So I just want to make sure that for everybody following along with the challenge, that you are aware that we got a special promotion going on for this. If you want to give it a try, you have the ability to get a little bit of discount on your first order, or you can get 48% off your first subscription using the code SpeakOrganized20. You can head to magicmind.com/speakorganized, plug in that code, and you're good to go. And so I just want to take a moment to thank Magic Mind for sponsoring today's episode. And without further ado, let's jump back in. What do you think about that, Holly?
Awesome. Anything to help me focus, I'm in.
That's it, sister. Yeah, I'll send you the link for sure. And I do get a little kickback for that too. So that's nice. So we talked a little bit about the main issues that people are facing when it comes to all of this. Now, how do you, let me make sure that I'm in the right spot here. Oh, here we go. So what tips do you have for people looking to start organizing their digital photos on their own? Let's say that maybe they just haven't found a Holly yet, or they can't justify the expense yet, or they want to give this a try on their own. What are the first steps to get started?
Yeah, for sure. Start with a process and a plan. So I've had so many clients come to me and say, I've started this over and over again, and I just can't get past the start. And it's because there's no process in place. So start with a process. Start with figuring out, what do you need to do first? So the first thing you need to do is take inventory. So you need to figure out what you have. You can't organize if you don't really know what you have. And so you go with your digital photos, you make a list. You make a list of, okay, my photos are living on my phone, they're living on my computer, they're living in this cloud service and this cloud service and this cloud service. You make a list of all of those. Digital or printed photos, same thing. Okay, they're in the basement, they're here. And with the physical photos, bring them all and put them in one room, because when you're trying to, pull them and organize them, you need to get them all together so you can see, because oftentimes you'll have a set here and a set here, and you got to marry those in some way. So get everything into one room. And then same with the other parts of your collection. So I actually have a getting started guide that's a free resource on my website. So people are welcome. And it gives you, there's a form on there that will kind of walk you through that inventory piece. But take inventory as the number one thing. And then, have a plan. Don't try to do it all at once, because I think that's the other thing people do, is they're like, I'm going to just do it and do it all. And it's just too overwhelming. So take it step by step in
Oh
little.
my gosh, I can't even imagine like a lifetime's worth of photos, even just like once my kids reach high school age, I can only imagine how many photos we're going to have at that time to work through. And I trying to think of doing all of that all at once just sounds like an absolute nightmare. How long do you see some of these projects taking for people?
Yeah, it really depends on how much time you have to dedicate it to it. So when I'm working with clients, we could work together for anything from a month to a year,
Wow.
realistically. And it kind of depends on the pace that we go at and how much of their collection are we just doing. If we're doing a whole collection, it can take a good amount of time. But I also think that that's okay. I think sometimes photos are emotional.
Mhm.
And sometimes people need a little break as they're kind of going through things to think through what they really want to keep. I'm a big believer in archiving your family's collection.
Mhm.
And so I want you to think beyond just today, but think about, what kind of stories do you want your children and your children's children to know about you? And if they don't, if the photo doesn't tell a story in some way, you probably don't need it. So
Right.
it takes a little while, but definitely, definitely just give yourself some grace through that process.
Absolutely. And I imagine that dealing with the emotional and sentimental value, it's really helpful probably to have somebody like a coach or a photo manager to help you walk you through those emotions and figure out what is most important to you. Do you find that that's a big part of your job as well?
It is. Yeah, it really is. I mean, just a recent story. I have this beautiful 95-year-old client who loves his photos. He loves, loves, loves his photos. And we have spent hours together. And his wife is on hospice right now. And he has called me 3 times because he's just like, he wants to do this right. He wants me to help him get photos together and he wants to do it right. And it's emotional, but it's so beautiful. I mean,
Mhm.
the fact that I get to help him work through this, oh my gosh, what a gift.
Yeah. Yeah, for both people, both parties involved. I know it's so
Mhm.
important. I can only imagine how important it is to them, but it's also so humbling and so much of an advantage for you as well, going through that process with other people and getting
Mhm.
to have that purposeful impact. It's just,
Mhm.
yeah, it gets me in the feels too. I love that. I feel like you've kind of covered answers to some of these questions. I am curious about this though, because I've run into this situation quite a bit, scrapbooks, right? So people were really into scrapbooking in the 90s, in the 80s and 90s, as you know. And I come across, I mean, people with libraries practically floor to ceiling, bookshelves, like wall to wall with scrapbooks. And then as they're going through their collections, surprise, surprise, their kids and their grandkids do not want it. Those things end up in boxes. They end up taking tons of space. The person passes, or they're getting ready to like go into assisted living or something. And they have an entire like spare bedroom, floor to ceiling with boxes of scrapbooks. So, I mean, this is where I called my first photo manager because I was like, I mean, having to like rip out individual pictures. How in the world do you handle that? Like,
Yeah.
please help us out here.
That's a huge thing. So I get told all the time, "Oh, my kids don't want my photos." Well, it's not the photos they don't want, it's the mess. They
Mm-hmm.
want the memories, they don't want the mess. And so what we do with scrapbooks, because those scrapbooks were so lovingly created. I mean, the amount of time that people spent on those scrapbooks is crazy. And so how we like to preserve them is we like to scan a full page. And by scanning the full page at a high resolution, so you don't want to just not at a low resolution because you're not going to be able to do this, but at a high resolution. And then you can, if you need to or if you want to. So first scan them all. And so you have a book in a folder.
Mm-hmm.
So you can go through it digitally. We need to meet this next generation where they're at. And where they're at is they love to enjoy their photos digitally.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I still think there's a place for a printed album, but our kids really love to enjoy their photos digitally. And so if we're going to tell our family stories and pass things on, we have to meet them where they're at. So with the scrapbooks, if you scan the page, then if you want an individual picture, you can just crop it out.
Mm-hmm.
Again, you have to do it at a good resolution, but you just crop out anything from that you want. But it's still oftentimes those scrapbooks tell a story.
Mm-hmm.
And so you don't want to lose that story. So by doing the whole book and keeping it together as a book, you get to do that. But at the same time, if you want one of those individual pictures for something special, you can crop it out and have that for them.
That's absolutely genius. That's so genius. And I like, because you're right. Like people will do, it's not just about the photos in scrapbooks. Sometimes you see all the different little pieces of art that they put in there, pressed flowers and things like that.
Journaling, tons of journaling. Yeah.
Exactly. Yes. Old letters, things like that. Oh, it's just, yeah, it's really fun. Yeah. All kinds of really cool stuff that I've seen. And that's so genius and really simple. I love that you gave that little tip. So this is intriguing. This is a niche it's often underexplored in our industry of professional organizing. It's not just about homes. There's various different things. And this is a very lucrative, you can do this full time if you want to. And it's a very in-demand service and it's very complementary to what the rest of us in the organizing industry are doing. So for those listening and watching, if this is piquing your interest, I want Holly, if you would please, to just share some advice with us. Anybody who's looking to start their own photo organizing business, what would you say?
I would say talk to other people that are doing it. Start there. Just find, you can go to, I belong to an organization called the Photo Managers. It's an association. It's an international organization of people that do exactly that. And I've been a part of them for over 10 years. And so when we started, there was no training. We kind of had to figure it out as we went along, and we kind of created the best practices that people are getting to use now. And so talk to people that are doing it, figure out what, types of things, because you don't have to do everything. So in addition to organizing, people are making albums, they're making slideshows, they're doing just digitizing. So they're just scanning or they're just converting, old VCR tapes or whatever. So talk to people, figure out where your niche might be. Don't try to do everything because there's too much and you have to take too much of a deep dive into some of the technical stuff, and just kind of find where you might fit and start there, the kind of thing, and go find some good training. So the training is available. You don't have to figure all this out for yourself. Go get that training. And the Photo Managers is a great source for that training.
Absolutely. Yeah. Take the shortcut. That's my number one piece of advice. Somebody in my Facebook group the other day was asking, words of wisdom for a new person. What would you do differently? My number one thing that I would do differently, having starting my business the way that I did, I would have invested in coaching and training from day one. But it makes such a difference.
It does. And when you're first starting a business, I don't know if you felt this, but I was like so conservative on how much money I spent or whatever. But when I first invested in that first big dollar class that I spent, whatever, I got that class back 1,000-fold because I learned a new skill that I was able to market, and I was able to do it really, really well for my clients. So great advice, make an investment.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good way to show your clients that they need to invest because you invested in yourself too. So it's just a little mental mindset shift. And on that note, sort of on that note, in terms of like the business side of this, because you mentioned, running your own business. So I imagine that you have maybe even an international market. It's not just your local Stillwater, Minnesota area that you serve clients probably all over the place. Is that correct?
Yeah, I have as many clients outside of Minnesota as I have inside of Minnesota. I would say right now I'm probably 30% in, 70% out of Minnesota. I'm trying to think, do I have any international clients right now? I don't, but I have clients all over the country we just use remote services. We Zoom a lot. I can take control of people's computers, via Zoom. And so, yeah, I have clients all over the place. So you can be in a tiny little town and do this work.
That's unbelievable. And that's huge. I mean, the percentage that you just laid out there, most of your clientele being outside of where you live, this is a remote job opportunity, which is fantastic and a very needed service. Okay, pop quiz time. How would you feel 6 months from now if you were sitting in this same spot and you owned your own professional organizing business that was booked out with clients that you actually really like to work with every single day? How would you feel in that moment? I imagine that you'd feel pretty good, but we're sitting here today and there might be something holding you back. It could be that little doubt whispering to you, who am I to do this? And I'm here to tell you right now that I have been there. We've all been there. And it is not only possible to overcome those fears, but it is essential because there are people out there right now who need someone exactly like you. Remember, I am here in your corner to help you with this process. My brand new mini course, From Overlooked to Overbooked, it's all about finding and attracting the right clients for your business to book your calendar solid with proven strategies. No more reinventing the wheel. I'm going to show you how to set up and optimize your website and boost your visibility with SEO strategies that actually work, that I use in my own business and many of my clients do as well. I'm going to show you how to promote your business so that you don't feel like a sleazy used car salesman from the 1980s. And I'm going to show you marketing strategies and materials that you definitely haven't come across. They are specific to our industry. And I'm going to show you how to network effectively, who to talk to. I'm going to give you scripts and I'm going to give you templates, all the things that you need to feel confident stepping into your business owner's shoes and rocking it to build a successful organizing business. And lastly, I want to invite you, if you're ready for more tools and you want to get paying clients in the door faster, to go pick up my Pro Organizer Forms Pack, which has 9 done for you forms in a free Canva account that are 100% customizable templates. You get access to all the essential forms that you need to onboard your clients and run your business professionally. You get the client agreement, health and safety waiver, credit card authorization form, and so many other forms that you will need to run your business. You start with the starter pack or the premium pack. You have 2 options to choose from. And again, that information is linked down below. As a thank you for being an amazing member of my speaker fam, you're going to get $8 off both my Overbooked course and my Pro Organizer Forms Pack using the code YTPRO8 at checkout. So that's it. No more waiting. It is time to step up and make your dreams a reality because your future as a sought after professional organizer is just one decision away. So moving into my next question, how then do you market those services to attract both local and non-local clients, remote clients?
Yeah. So I would say that my remote clients, most people find me via my website. So a good website and good SEO. I mean, I wish I had better, things that I do some social. I mean, so I'm, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Pinterest, which actually I get quite a lot of traction from. So I would say those are probably the biggest ways that my remote clients. I also, having been in this industry for a while, I also get referrals from other photo managers. So other photo managers that don't like to do digital, I get some of their business. So we pass business back and forth all the time based on what, we specialize in and that kind of thing. So that's another way to get business, is to offer your services to other people, even within our own field. So that's probably how I get my remote clients most. With my local clients, though, I would say networking, show your face. In a business like this, I would say that people need a little explanation. They're like, when I tell people, oh, I'm a professional photo manager, they're like, they don't quite know what that is. And so most of them will say, well, tell me more, or what is that, or how, whatever. And so having a really good little elevator speech that will describe in a succinct fashion what you do is really important in this business. So people can kind of relate to it a little bit. So it's a new thinking. It's a new profession. We haven't been around that long. So yeah. So I would say networking, and put yourself in places where you think your clients, the types of clients you're going after, where they hang out. That's important. And then the other thing too is be professional. Have a professional image and really present yourself as, I'm a business owner and this is what I do for a living, kind of thing. I think that's really important.
It is. All of those things that you touched on for so many different reasons. That is the speak organized way. I mean, I tell you, as a business coach, I am constantly beating the SEO drum. I know you're like, it's not a very exciting answer, but it is the truth. It's free marketing. If you understand how to build a killer website and you know how to properly optimize it with keywords and all those phrases, you would be surprised how much easier it is, because you become a magnet. I could go on. I teach an entire course called Overlooked to Overbooked that has a whole lesson on SEO for that very reason, because it's so very important. There was something else that you mentioned that I'm trying to think, like you said, I need to start taking notes. when my guests talk, because you said so many really
Get
important
into that
things.
conversation and
Oh my gosh, yeah, we just get really, really, really rolling. So you were talking about SEO was the big one,
networking,
networking. Yeah, it was something having to do with
clients,
networking.
going to be where your clients are, hang out where your clients do.
Yeah. Shoot, I cannot remember what it was. It's going to come back to me later on tonight and I'll have to send you an email. Shoot. Yeah, the SEO thing is such a big piece. But networking in general too is something that often gets overlooked.
Mhm.
And I feel like that is such an integral part, especially of local business success, is
Mhm.
networking with other professionals. Oh, it was talking about sharing business with other people in your photo management
Yeah.
community.
Yeah.
So this is where niching is really, really important. And this is something that many business owners are very leery of doing because they feel like they're going to leave people out. But you made a really important point earlier by saying don't try to take it all on at once because it's
Mhm.
very overwhelming. And two, this is twofold because if you specialize as you do in digital photo organizing and somebody else specializes in, creating slideshows and whatever else, whatever other type of niche they're in,
Yep.
they're going to want to refer you the business that they can't take. And that's a beautiful thing because then everybody stays busy, right?
Yeah. Yeah. We
Huge.
we share business all the time in our community because yeah, you just can't do everything. And we don't really want to. Like
Right.
I don't love scanning. It's not my favorite thing. So I have a person that I send most of my scanning to.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So everybody kind of works together. That's
Yep.
that's really super important. I'm glad I remembered. I'm glad I remembered that one because it's super important. I do want to kind of wrap up here. And I'm just curious to hear about because obviously you have a lot of technical expertise. So and you're immersed in the community and knowing kind of what's up and coming. So what do you see in the field of photo organizing as it evolves over the next 5 to 10 years? What are some innovations, new services, things that we're excited to see on the horizon for this? And what are you excited about for the future of capture your photos?
Yeah. So I think that this industry is only going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, especially since we're kind of at a crossroads right now. People are taking pictures, so many pictures. And so everyone's phones are exploding, their computers are exploding, and we're going to have to manage that. And people are going to look for help figuring out how to manage that, especially as we've been kind of transitioning over the past 10 years into this full on digital world,
Mm.
figuring out what that looks like in the field of photos. So I feel like this industry is only going to, it's only going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And people are going to need support in helping them figure it all out. So I think that's kind of huge. And then as far as capture your photos goes, and the other thing, I guess, along with that is AI. AI is just, I mean, in the past, I would say year, specifically, it is just also exploded. And so what does that mean for photos? And I think there are a lot of people that are throwing things at the wall when it comes to photo systems and that kind of thing. And everyone's saying, oh, we've got AI, but some of it isn't very good, to be
Mhm.
perfectly honest. And
Mhm.
so trying to navigate what that looks like and how it can be really used effectively and how we still need to put a little manual hand on that. I think there's both of those things. So yeah, AI. And then as far as
Yeah.
capture of photos goes, you know what? I quite honestly, I find myself as the longer I'm in business, niching even more. And probably part of it is just that there's so much to learn, especially in the digital photo organizing world, just to keep up with everything that's going on. I mean, like Apple is like every year there's a new release and they're throwing something new at us that we have to kind of figure out and then help our clients navigate and that
Mhm.
kind of thing. So I kind of love that. But I also love teaching people how to do it. So I love the do it for you part of my business, but I also have a whole series of courses, online courses that teach the DIYers because I can just impact so many more people with that. And so I really find that I think for me, I'm going to continue to do some stuff for people, but I'm also going to really be leaning on some of those DIY type of courses to help my clients do this work and be successful.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I want to make sure you've shared quite a few resources throughout today's episode that I want to make sure that we get down in the description box. One of them being your free get started guide. So I'll make sure that that's linked down below. I'll make sure we get links to all your courses and various other things. I'm sure there's some things that you want to expand on to kind of keep us in your loop here. But I have one final kind of fun question for you. I call this my James Lipton moment. So if you could organize a photo collection for any historical figure or celebrity, who would it be and why?
Yeah, that is such a good question. That is such a good question. Okay, can I have two answers? Is that
yes, absolutely.
Okay, so different reasons. So one of the cool things about this job is I get to see people's day-to-day lives. I mean, I get to see everything, all the things. I get to know my clients very, very well. And so I think Oprah would be a really cool collection because she has had so many lives. And obviously you can go and see pictures of Oprah everywhere, but to see her day-to-day life and how she works her day-to-day life, hanging with and that kind of thing, I think would be super cool and entertaining. But also I think of like a dynasty family, like the Kennedys or something like that.
Oh, sure.
Again, there's photos everywhere of them, but it's those day-to-day moments that I think would just be so cool and so fascinating to be able to just take a little peek into their daily lives.
Yeah. That's why anthropology is so amazing. It's just for that very reason. It's like, what was it like right there and then in the moment, and really kind of highlighting those sort of mundane moments is actually a really beautiful and fascinating thing to be able to do. Oh gosh, I love that so much. So Holly, I want to make sure that people can get in touch with you. We can follow up with you. I'm going to send you an invitation to come and join my free Facebook group. So in the event somebody's got a question, I can be like, tag Holly and get on it. So how do we find you? And give us a few more pieces of information, anything you'd like to promote as well. The floor is yours.
Yeah. So capturephotos.com is my website that will give you all the information that you can possibly need and find. The resources page in Capture Photos is the resources. That's where you can find all those free resources. So I have the Getting Started guide. I also have a free personality quiz, photo personality quiz, that will help you maybe hone in a little bit on what kind of systems might be good for you. What do you need to do for backup, and give you just like pages of information that are customized for you. So that is free as well. And that's on my website. And then also I have an offer for you. So for courses, if anyone that wants to go to my courses page and buy a course, I have a 20% off coupon that you can use. It's SPAK20, SPAK 20. And so just enter that in the coupon code and get 20% off any of my courses through the month of August 2024.
Perfect. Thank you so much for doing that. I'll make sure that info is linked down below. Holly, thank you so much. It was such a pleasure having you and just nerding out about all things photo organizing. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, Melanie.
All right, fam. Thank you so much. That's going to wrap it up. I really appreciate you taking a little bit of time out of your day to hang out with us on the Speak Organized channel. If you have any questions about Descript, pop them down below. If you want to see a little bit more content about it, you have additional things that you want me to test, happy to do that as well. Don't forget to check out that exclusive discount link to try Magic Mind. You won't regret it. And make sure to check out all the goodies that we have down there for you. Get on my calendar for that one-on-one coaching call experience. You can check out the Overlooked to Overbooked course and my Pro Organizer Forms pack, as well as a whole host of other resources that I'm happy to provide to you because you're awesome. I hope you guys have a fabulous day, and I will see you in the next one.